Holiday season is over.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Lawish.
Welcome back. Lawish.
Today's going to be a little different than most of our episodes. It's going to be more of kind of it's not a deep analysis of any legal issues.
Yeah.
Just something we thought would be interesting. It's certainly, hot in the news right now, and a lot of people are talking about it and have opinions about it. So we figured we'd give our opinions, I guess.
Yeah. We like to tell people what to do with their lives.
That's right.
So might as well do it again. No, it requires less of a legal analysis and legal discussion, but it's definitely still pretty interesting and is obviously ongoing right now. So it is of wide interest, and we thought we'd just do like a quick rapid fire episode on that.
Yeah. And, eventually, I'm sure there will be more of a legal analysis potentially, but right now we don't know much.
Right.
We don't have much to go off.
Yeah, we kind of just go with whatever we have right now.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's going to kind of show, or we're going to discuss in part like this is very political. Obviously, Andrew Tate as a person is very divisive, and people either seem to love or hate the guy. There's really not much in between. So because of that, you see that in the reactions to the arrest, much like Trump, right? Whenever he was charged with anything or there's an investigation, it was either, you throw him in prison or he's innocent. And we're seeing that with Andrew Tate. But anyway, for those that aren't aware somehow, he was in Romania with his brother, Andrew Tate, and they were with, I believe, two other individuals at the time that this happened. He was in the middle of some sort of, or had just got done with some sort of like video call with Greta Thunberg. I believe it was like a FaceTime or something like that.
Was he actually doing a FaceTime, or was it that the video that he posted as a response?
I think,
Greta's?
I don't think she was on it, but I think it was like a live.
He initially sent out a tweet for some reason, calling out Greta Thunberg and saying, "Hey, I got a bunch of cars and they have like super high carbon emissions. Why don't you send me your email so I can send you my list of cars?" Right? And then she responds like, "Yeah, enlighten me," and then my email's like small dick energy. Get a life or something.
Yeah, basically.
So then he was responding to that. A little butthurt, I would say.
Oh, for sure.
This is like a teenager that is kind of like, essentially it was a pretty witty response.
Yeah.
So then he responded to her, but was like, "Oh, I'm going to do a video now." That's, I think, the one that you're talking about.
It
right?
is, yeah.
Okay.
And the funny part about that is like, dude, you started at least as far as I'm aware, he started the whole altercation, right? Right. I don't think she said anything about him.
Right.
She just generally
it started with
complaining
just him
about,
randomly deciding to send out a tweet. And
he didn't agree with her viewpoints, and then he wanted to call her out. But then he can't take the heat when turned around. But anyway,
I thought it was hilarious. Like,
it was.
Regardless of whatever your take is on, the whole issue, I thought her response was like, "Bitch, get the fuck out of here."
I know. That was funny too. But anyway, yeah. So that's what a lot of people say. Like, who knows? The news report said there's no confirmation, but that video itself was what tipped off the Romanian police because he had pizza boxes from a local pizza parlor. And so that was apparently what tipped him off, I guess, generally where he was. Now, I don't really think that makes much sense because it doesn't tie you to an apartment complex or a hotel room or whatever. So
could you have taken so because I'm assuming they had some sort of warrant outstanding for him, because otherwise he's in town. Let's arrest him. Like, what for, right? So maybe what they could have done is, it's international law, so who knows how that works. But they could have been like, okay, so this guy has a pizza box from this local place. We can call them and then ask them for names or aliases that they use and see which one it was ordered from and which one it was delivered to.
Yeah, and that might have been. The other thing is, it could have also been they thought they knew where he was and they used that as confirmation to like, oh, he is in fact here. Because there was, we don't really know. There was some sort of discussion, like, again, who knows, but like articles were talking about that some girl had called in to the police, like one of the victims apparently, had called the police and tipped them off. So if that were the case, then it would be like, okay, like he seems like he's here. And then this apparently, if they saw that video, he's like, oh, he's definitely in Romania now. But yeah, I mean, they very well could have done that too. They could have reached out to the pizza.
I hadn't read that one about the
who knows if it's true? Because just like the Greta Thunberg thing, where they were like, oh, the pizza box tipped off the police. There's a lot of news agencies saying there's nothing to confirm that. So we don't really know, but people like to speculate, of course, and it makes it more, depending on what side you're on, it makes it more like hilarious if that is what actually led to him.
I mean, yeah,
ultimately getting arrested.
if you want to go on with the spin of just hilarity.
Yeah.
the pizza box.
The irony, I guess, too, or whatever. Like, they talk about like a comeback.
It's like when El Chapo is caught by inviting some Mexican actress.
Exactly.
And a Hollywood actor to his like super secret compound.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like a week after he gets captured. Like,
oh, okay.
Come on.
But anyway, so he was ultimately arrested, charged with rape, human trafficking, which is related to that, and then like organized crime charges are also revolving around that. So essentially, they're saying that he's running a human trafficking ring with his brother and these other individuals who were arrested, or in the apartment at the time that this arrest had happened. Now, he had been charged in the past with similar crimes, didn't go anywhere. I don't know if they just didn't have enough evidence at the time, or again, if there is even, that's assuming there's even something here, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I mean, so there's a lot of people, of course, on the right, or people who support this guy, regardless of, I guess, what side. I guess it's possible there's people on the left who are also, fans of his, depending on, how you would, whatever, align or associate. But that seem to think it's just a political thing, and they, whatever. They're like trying to take him down, and who knows? Now, I will say the Sky News, which is like an Australian news agency, was reporting on it. And they were, making it seem like there was like, the police found, or authorities found, like a bunch of evidence related to the crime. And it was like, they were showing video of it. And they're like, they found stacks of cash, and firearms. And then they're like, and other weapons and knives. And it was literally like, like little swords that, your 13-year-old brother would have on the wall.
Like katanas and like...
stupid, like costume, basically, weapons, right? And somehow associating, again, we're talking about Andrew Tate. This guy's a millionaire, at least. He's got millions of dollars. So cash.
And he's always flaunting his money. So
It's like, that means nothing.
Yeah.
Firearms, again, have nothing to do with human trafficking.
Yeah.
And nor do like cosplay swords. So, but they were like, this was, somehow a slam dunk. We got proof of this or whatever. And it's just comical. Yeah. And it's just, it's a lot of times it's just like, you don't know if they're doing it again, if it's like a malicious thing and they're like, oh, like we're gonna like talk this stuff up because they feel some type of way, as a news company, or if it's just ignorance that they're like, they don't think about like, oh yeah, this guy would have a ton of money because he's fucking loaded, and firearms literally have nothing to do with what he's charged with, but it's like, but generally,
I mean, even if that was the case though, regardless of which version it is, they either are building it up or talking it up to essentially like just make him like paint him in a bad light, right? Like let's take advantage of the fact that something's happening to this guy. Let's paint him in a bad light because he's an asshole and you don't like him or whatever. That could be one option. And the other one, like you said, it could be that they're just like ignorant and they're like, oh my god, this is the evidence that we're looking for. And turns out it doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah, like normally, criminals have money and guns.
Yeah,
so
criminals have money.
Therefore,
guns. He must be a criminal. Of crimes that have nothing to do with whatever he has in possession.
Yeah, nothing to do at all.
So either of those two, though, like people are not stupid.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting here, just the average Joe.
I would argue people are stupid, but.
Well,
not me, but some people.
Yeah, other people.
There's good people on both sides.
Yeah. It's like if you have an average Joe.
Yeah.
Sitting down there, let's say this guy doesn't have an opinion on Andrew Tate, and then the news is like, this guy was arrested for charged with human trafficking and rape, and they found the evidence, money, guns.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like that, you're gonna find that in like a bunch of people's houses in America.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean they're engaging in human trafficking.
The only thing I would potentially be like, okay, maybe, especially because he was charged with like organized crime related stuff, is the cash. But that's if you didn't know he was a millionaire.
Right.
Exactly. But if you do,
like, where's the process of all this money?
Exactly. You're getting it from this. And
exactly.
In theory, maybe that's part of like why he is a millionaire. Maybe maybe this is a big thing and they're pulling a ton of money.
Sure.
But we also know he's got all these.
But at the outset, that like having a bunch of money doesn't tell you you're trafficking humans.
Exactly.
Right. It's not. The evidence of the crime.
And like everybody knows this guy's loaded from social media too.
Yeah.
Like he's the most searched person in the world. Like it was even more than Trump, right?
Yeah, I remember
like,
that.
Yeah. So it's not a surprise he would have a ton of money.
Yeah. And you would expect that if they were like on the ignorance side, like, oh my god, this is the evidence of the crime. We found it, all of it. He had it in his house. You would think of evidence that you normally see like on TV shows or movies where they involve human trafficking or rape or these situations, where they have Polaroids of the victims that are, short of having the actual victim in the basement. You have like photos of them tied up, or you have their passports, or you have some sort of communication where they discuss, let's pick them up, or I don't know, something other than just money, weapons, and katanas.
And if that is all they have, obviously, from a legal standpoint,
I don't think this
what the legal part, like, tie into this is, that is not. There's no way you're meeting your burden.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, with the caveat that there might be, it's just a possibility, not a probability, that there's a Romanian law that says anybody who's found with cash.
It's a formula.
Plus katanas plus weapons equals
guilty.
Human trafficking.
Exactly.
Shall be presumed to be engaged in human trafficking.
That's right.
So short of that, of having that really tenuous connection between all these evidence and the actual crimes they're being charged for.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to find some other evidence, or use that evidence for a different crime that may be going on.
Well, and I think that part of the problem is too with the reporting. I mean, we see that in everything now, like media and everything else. But it's like when you have reporting like that and they act like that's the evidence. Now everybody that is a supporter of Tate is going to be like, well, that's the only old evidence they have. See, like this is political attack. They just hate him. This conspiracy, whatever. But we know there's more, right? Because, well, supposedly there's more because somebody supposedly called the police, the authorities, and basically said she was raped by him.
Yeah.
And well, that is, if assuming it's true, obviously, that is evidence of the crime he's being charged with, at least in part. But this other shit's not. So when you act like that is evidence and you, like, talk about that in your news, like, this is the evidence of the crime and it's not, you run into the same problem where it's like it doesn't really reassure people that you would want to reassure, that it just gives people who already want to doubt it because they like this guy, or they feel some type of way, or they whatever, even more reason to kind of dig in their heels and assume that it's
and then go back to that overused trope now, like the media is fake or the media is biased.
You literally could have just said, hey, and the police recovered money, guns, and knives or whatever. Yeah. Instead of saying,
then let people think of that.
They found evidence of, it's like, come on, evidence of what? Like this.
Exactly, evidence of what? Evidence of the guy is a millionaire.
Yeah.
And he likes guns.
Yeah, exactly.
And
which is
has either a
apparently like
brother
surprising.
or
I don't know.
They like cosplay swords.
But so that was funny. But and then everybody on of course, everybody and their brother's got an opinion on this, and so they're sitting there like, talking about it, and you have people who were, I mean, I know he didn't do it because, they talked to him once on a podcast, right? They had him on their podcast or something. Or his sister, which she's like, he would never do it. Or his ex was like, he would never do this. It's made up. And yeah, sure, she knows him probably better than most people do. But, people do stuff all the time that you're not aware of, right? We all do to some extent. Like, not that, but,
There's only so much, like, a character witness can take.
Exactly.
It,
But for the people on the podcast and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, like I know he didn't do this, but also like if he did, it's like wait, they're like, and then they're like innocent until proven guilty, but like I 100%, I don't believe any of this. I'm talking about how they're not going to believe any of it. I'm like, well, that is not innocent until proven guilty because you're not even like entertaining the possibility. You already made your decision. Yeah. Like you're just saying he's innocent because they didn't prove him guilty yet. But even if they did, we're not going to consider it. It's like that's not
innocent until proven guilty. But if you're proven guilty, it was rigged.
Yeah. That's exactly how they're saying it.
No.
I'm like, I don't think you know what that means.
Yeah.
Like innocent until proven guilty does not mean we don't consider anything that might contradict our own preconceived opinions on something. So,
exactly.
But everybody was like that. And then of course on the other side, people who hate this guy are like, oh, he was already charged in the past and he got away, and now he's like, well, maybe there wasn't something there before, right? Like. And that's the thing. People are like, oh, Romanian police are so corrupt. And, okay, well, if they were, why wouldn't they just lock them up the first time? If they don't need evidence, if it is this political attack, So...
And we talked about this before. We don't have to agree with someone's points of view to know that, hey, if you get being charged with a crime, it is the prosecution's duty to find the evidence and charge for the crime. If they weren't able to, they weren't able to.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter whether we like the guy or not.
Now, I will say this. If the guy was doing what he's accused of, you're a fucking idiot to go back to Romania if you're already fucking charged with this shit. So, from that standpoint...
But also, the guy's like pretty cocky. Like, he doesn't give a shit about anything.
And he's also...
So, I can believe he might be at a point where he feels untouchable.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't give a fuck.
I believe that 100%. But I also think part of, like, the... Either irony and also potentially maybe him... I don't know, because it's weird. Because he had talked about, like, of course, everybody's trying to silence me because of... whatever, the woke people are like, the big conspiracy that there's the elites are trying to, they get pulling the strings and whatever, the deep state and shit, right? he's like, oh, first they silence you and they kicked me off all these platforms. It's like, well, no, private companies kicked you off because they didn't want to lose people because of the crap you're saying. Nothing to do with the government, right? But they were like making it seem like the government was attacking him for his political or his viewpoints. And then they're like, once they silence you, then they kill you if you keep speaking out. Now I'm going to continue to speak out, or find a way to take you down. And then there's a lot of people that's what they're doing now. They're arresting them so they can, and it's just like, he like, saw this coming because he, whatever. And it's just like.
Visionary.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of issues with that. One is like, too, like, I don't know. It's like, I guess it's also possible that he was involved in stuff. And he thought there's a chance he's going to get taken down. It's kind of the whole Trump effect where it's like, let me throw out there that this is...
If they find anything, it's planted.
Yes.
Even though nobody's talking about finding anything.
Exactly. But that way I can like set the framework for when later on, if I do get arrested, everybody's like, oh, this isn't true. This is,
Yeah.
Who knows though? I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel one type of way or another. For me, I'm just like, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
And
the whole thing is... you may not like the guy, you may worship the guy, whatever the case may be, is whatever there's evidence of, that's what needs to come to light, and then that's what's gonna take you in whatever direction takes you. Yeah. That's it. Like no amount of whining is gonna be enough evidence to convict him of a crime that he didn't commit, and no amount of conspiracy theories are gonna help him if there is evidence that he did commit the crimes that he's been accused of. So.
Exactly. I mean, that's at least how it should be, right? And I know, from the from the legal standpoint, like we know they at least had, because their system's modeled much like ours. They had to have probable cause, and now that could have literally just been someone called and said, "Hey, this guy raped me or whatever, and and I'm at this address," or whoever, somehow they were connected to him.
Yeah.
And we know all the time people are arrested for stuff where they have probable cause and later on nothing comes of it, right? Or it was somebody who was like making stuff up or whatever. So it's like, that's possible.
Yeah.
But the fact that they had something to go off to give them probable cause, they're doing their job. They're investigating. Clearly they think they have something at least here. I don't believe they're corrupt and, somebody's paying them to go take him down like everybody's trying to portray.
Do you think there's also a possibility that he was swatted?
Well, no, that could absolutely happen.
Because if you go on the other side, right, where, again, the police are just acting on whatever leads they're given. So, again, without assuming that there's anybody in the government trying to silence him, it's just people that don't like him and they're like, oh, we saw this guy, we know he's here, we're gonna swat him just for the sake of causing him discomfort or nuisance.
Yeah. No, and that's totally possible. I think, especially if they knew that in the past he had been arrested for that. Yeah. If they knew enough about it. Otherwise,
I'm assuming there must have been some sort of news at the time.
It was.
So it must have been, at least in Romania, some sort of common knowledge.
It's very possible that, somebody's like, oh, wait, I hate this guy, especially now, he's with the shit with Greta or whatever. And then they knew about that in the past, and somebody calls in and says that, whatever, he raped him and he's running this ring or whatever. I mean, that's absolutely possible. Now, I don't know who knows? I don't know if the police, unless... it's hard to tell. It was a raid, so they could have said oh, he's holding me hostage now, and then they get there and he's not there, or they're not there, and they don't know at the time, but they gotta believe that it's true, and that's enough probable cause at least. And there's also the urgency of the situation for them, the exigent circumstances or whatever, to go in and do a search. But they're still holding him. That's the reason in my opinion, there's gotta be something
just
there.
Some sort of prank to mess with him.
Because he would have been released by now if there wasn't something else to go off.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But
or some other stuff that needs to be run down the the proper channels.
Yeah, but I thought the same thing. I was like, well, this easily could just been somebody because there's a ton of people that hate this guy. It could have very easily just been somebody who felt some type of way, whatever, and I'm going to call in and get him
just
arrested.
to mess with him. And
I'm going to teach him a lesson.
Exactly.
So anyway, who knows? I thought it was interesting, just because seeing that, and it's not surprising. It shouldn't be. We saw all this stuff with Trump and everything else, but it's just people are just so delusional on both sides, and nobody actually everything, if you're, and it's kind of what we talk about in the blinded justice review and everything else, and you unconscious bias that's at play and everything else, but it's if you don't like the guy, then money is evidence of human trafficking, guns are evidence of human trafficking, freaking swords, cosplay swords are evidence of human trafficking. if you do like the guy, he's innocent no matter what. Innocent until proven guilty, but also we're not.
And the same stuff is evidence of a government conspiracy.
Exactly. So it's like it just shows that how much influence your own bias and opinion about somebody plays into your reality. Your own reality, whatever that is.
And how little nuance there is now in pretty much every aspect of life.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't see a single person on, for when I looked at the YouTube people who were talking about it, whatever, it was either he's finally got caught, he's going down, or it was, oh, he's innocent, I know him, I had him on my podcast, he would never do this.
Yeah.
Like,
there was no one like, oh, I wonder what happened.
Exactly.
It's just someone
there was no one that was just like
this is weird. Yeah. What's going on?
Or actually, what would be considered an unbiased kind of analysis about the situation. It was even in all the news stations. Either he's innocent or he's look at all this evidence. Yeah. And it's just he did this before, and last time he said he didn't do it, but this time he was silent.
Yeah, that must mean
the hell. What? And, so anyway, we'll see where this goes. The problem is, people are like, well, innocent until proven guilty. Well, even if he's proven guilty, to some people that's not going to mean anything. Yeah. That's going to be more, it was, they're just out to get him. It was a political hunt, the witch hunt, the elites, whatever, the deep states, silencing him. And then other people, if there isn't evidence there and they ultimately release him, they're going to be like, oh, he must have been paid off and he's a rapist and when there wasn't clearly evidence to prove that. Yeah. So either way, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. I mean,
his life will.
Yeah. It's not going to change the minds of people that are already made.
And that's unfortunately anybody like that now. Everything again is so fucking divisive. We're not just here, but clearly all over the world. So
more updates on Andrew Tate.
Yes.
Once we find out whether he did it or not, based on the evidence, hopefully real evidence, and not just money. That must mean
cosplay
he did it. You know what? Okay.
I was like, what the
and cosplay source.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add, Jeff, before we close this rapid fire episode?
Yeah, let us know in the comment section if you think he's innocent or guilty. And
you're not allowed to post a neutral comment.
Yes. No. Innocent or guilty.
Either he did it or he did not.
Yes.
And pick a side.
And also let us know how much you like the guy. Either side. Just repeatedly comment about it'd be interesting to hear your opinions on the whole situation, if you're even paying attention to it, or if you even care. If you don't care, that's good too, because quite frankly that's kind of how I feel. I'm like, I don't care enough, not nothing against the guy, I don't care enough about the guy either way I'm like, hopefully it plays out how it should play out. If he's innocent, you get let go. If he's not, he gets taken down, whatever. But so
there's no skin in the game on this one.
No. And that's it. And honestly, I think it should be like that with more people, but unfortunately, we're not.
Agreed. So. All right. Well, thank you again for sticking with us. Follow us on TikTok if you don't already. I'll leave the handle somewhere in the screen. And we'll see you next week with another episode. We're going to go back to discussing the next chapter in the book Blind Injustice by Professor Mark Gozzi. And then we'll get some other content, in 2023.
Yeah. We got some exciting stuff coming up. We got a bunch of we
have a ton. So you can see how Jeff stopped himself from spoiling the surprises. But we do have a bunch of content, a bunch of really interesting stuff coming our way, and we want to make 2023 a good year for the podcast. So
and we are gonna have a special guest. I don't want to ruin too much, but Andrew Tate's coming on, so stay tuned for that episode.
Andrew Tate showing up in this podcast does not reflect the views of. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah,
because he's currently busy with he's preoccupied in Romania with other affairs. But
anyway,
thank you for joining us. This was Lodge.
We're trying it like it was like a this is proof. What?
Fuck it.
It's not recording.
No, my mic was muted.
Oh,
but just for this.